What's good, family? What's happening with ya? All right. Let's see if we can get the professor back into the building. Professor, welcome. And I want to welcome everybody to Urban Matters Black Media Group. And I'm your gracious host, Dr. Juice. I'm coming live to you today, and I want to break down something real quick that has been concerning me, and it's also been concerning a lot of folks locally. And we got the data science specialist in the building, the professor, the data professor. Hey, listen, when I first met this guy, I just did not understand the science behind what he was trying to get me to see. But once I kind of settled down and, tapped in with him, I see that data is the new currency. And if you're planning on surviving what's coming, you are going to have to tap in with this data science. Professor, welcome today, December 8th, 2024. I just got back off the highway, but I had to go online because I know somewhere in one of the episodes that we had here at Urban Matters Black Media Group, Urban Matters Matter Live Chat, I knew we were had a discussion one time. We were talking about data and how important data is. And we were looking at some of the, of course, y'all know we always chopping up economic game over here. And we were talking about the economics locally here in Polk County, Lake Wales. And Professor, I said, listen, I know a guy who can do you a better service than I can when it comes to the numbers and make the math up. Professor, welcome again. Happy Sunday.
Glad to be here, bro. Always 3Ds forever across the highway.
Highway in the building. You still there? You
Yes,
with
sir.
us?
Yes, sir. How are you today?
I'm beautiful, but I would be definitely even better once you share this data with us real quick and just kind of give us a real dynamic view on what we should be studying and the the sets, or like you like to say, the data sets behind how you can break down information about the poverty levels within Polk County, specifically Lake Wells.
All right, that's not a problem. I created a course just for this day, and I'm going to share my screen here,
Yes,
Doctor
sir.
Bruce, and
Yes,
I'll
sir.
give you a quick lecture here. Okay, here we go. Pop that up and let me see how that looks for you.
Yes, sir. Give me 2 seconds. All right, here we go. I like Professor. Professor gets straight to the course. Hold on, I might have to go big screen.
Let
Here
me
we go.
see.
Let me
Right.
see. Hold on.
So you said that your people had an interest in understanding data, and this is my community contribution. However, if your audience want to get deeper into understanding data, I created a course, hands-on. I'll let you read that, Dr. Zeus, because you moved around. I want to make sure it looks good on my end, but that's the course that I created. So tell your audience, read that title to your audience, Dr. Juice.
Data analytics for business decision making.
Right. So this is about incorporating analytics into your business. So what does that real quickly? What does that mean to you, Dr. Juice?
Professor, are you there?
Yes, sir. How about yourself?
I said data analytics for business decision making. And that can mean the best critical thinking decision making when it comes to business, entrepreneurship, uh, leadership, and also ownership,
Okay.
making
So
analytical decisions.
today you wrote me up and you wanted me to speak on. I want to make sure I stay focused and stay on my assignment today for you, Dr. Juice. So there was some data out in social media that spoke to the speculation or allegation that our hometown, Lake Wells, ranked in the top 10 poorest cities in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what we're talking about? And
Yes, sir.
you wanted me to look at or show your audience um, and kind of give them an idea of uh, how data is being socialized and why it's so important that black people, more especially, if you don't like the data story that's being told about you,
Yes, sir.
then create your own data, Dr. Juice.
Yes, sir.
So let's take a look at some of the data. Your screen is bouncing around a little bit. Are you doing
Yeah,
that?
I'm
Or you,
trying to. I'm trying to find it. I went with the mobile app, and it's kind of not giving me a great enough service. All right, let's try that right there. Let's
yeah,
try
well,
that angle.
you see, this is what your audience has to understand is that this is evolution. You know, it's very creative and innovation. Innovative, and it demonstrate. You know, for those who also want to have a platform. I mean, you're cutting edge yourself, Dr. Juice, and
Yes, sir. Thank you.
these are the things that you have to configure and experiment, and we've been very successful at that. That people, we talk about demonstrate. People need to see you demonstrate.
Yes, sir. Bruh D, we got Brother D in the building.
He,
I had to
that's
mute him real quick. He got a little background noise, but we're
what
going
I
to
did.
make it do what it do.
Yep, yep. You'll listen in. So, all right. So I see it. I'm gonna move forward. So you wanted me to address the somebody somewhere created a data story that that said that Lake Wells was in the top 10 poorest city in Florida, and
Yes, sir.
you wanted to dig further in that. So I'll give you a quick lecture on data and how you approach that. First of all, when you think about data, you always have to also consider the source. You know, and I've always promoted this in terms of evangelizing the need for Black people to collect their own data. So how can you get mad at someone who, however they did it, um, created a data store about you, and you can't defend yourself? So, uh, since the pandemic, data collection kind of took a standstill, and now it's kind of picking back up. But I want to share with you a site that you can is from Data USA. It's outdated. What I mean by outdated, what you're about to see reflects 2022. But uh, you really, when you talk about research, I have to compliment you on you, Dr. Juice, for your tenacity and research, and that's what your community is going to have to do more of. We as a people have to do more of. So here we go. So we look at the poverty rate. I forget what the poverty rate was on that's going around. That was medium income, but I mean, when you look at poverty rate, and this specifically deals with Lake Wales, right? This is Data USA. So here's the data story that this is telling about Lake Wales, that you have a 20.3% poverty rate, and it gives you a lot of information. But one of the pieces of information that I thought was interesting, because one of the things that you harp on quite a bit, Dr. Juice, is resources. We talk about resources and why is data so important when it comes to government resources and that sort of thing. So I would imagine that this data, it tells you their source. So this data that I'm about to talk about is from the Census Bureau 5-year estimate. Okay, so they tell you
Gotcha.
where the data source is. Are you with me?
Yes, sir.
So I've talked to you before about data visualizations and these kind of things, and that's part of the course that I will offer your group. Uh, I will offer your group that course, or at least introduction for it. We'll talk about that. But look at how this data is constructed, Dr. Juice. So here, they say uh, in Lake Wales, 49.8% of the population is white.
Mm-hmm.
Then they say 19.6% is black or African American, non-Hispanic. But here's what I find very striking in this data set. When we talk about categories, we talk about resources. You have 4 different categories of a Hispanic, which is amazing to me. You have a multiracial Hispanic, you have a white Hispanic, you have a multiracial non-Hispanic.
Hmm.
I don't know what that is. Then you have other. But here's the important part to that, was striking to me. When you add all of Hispanic, because no matter how they slice and dice Hispanic, you got 4 different categories. Would you not agree with that?
Yes, sir.
So when you add all of those 4 different groups of Hispanics up, you get 29.78%, which is obviously higher than the 19.9% that they say you are, being black or African American. So what is the difference when you want to do a comparative analysis of this situation?
Hmm.
The difference is 10%. So when you look at resource allocation, when you look at poverty rates, uh, when you look at all of these different data analytics, those data analytics are used to make decisions about how you're educated, what type of resources that you get.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at, you take for instance in your hometown, if you look at the data that they use in the CRA report, all this money that's coming in, Black African Americans in Lake Wales, they're categorized as low income residents, low income non tax producing residents. Because you got three housing projects. In Lake Wales, you got three housing projects, okay? And right here it talks about population and diversity. All right. So population and diversity in Lake Wales right here.
So you saying that is from Lake Wells information?
I showed you the top right here. This
Yes,
comes from
sir.
U.S. data. See now, will your who will pay Vox computers to collect data and create your own data? Who do you what black company do you have, Dr. Juice?
None.
Oh, okay. I was just checking. But anyway,
Let's post that link in the comment section, Professor, if you
I'll do that for you.
please would do so, sir, so that we can show that we have the receipts here at Urban Matters Black Media Group in care of Voss Computers.
Do you want it in your live feed on Facebook as well? Or what do you want?
Absolutely.
I just put it in your
Yeah,
private
put it
chat.
in the live feed. Put it in the live feed, Professor. Or
All
I
right.
can put it in there. I can click and paste that because with technology, we
Just do
have
that.
that
Yeah, let's see if I can
capability.
do that.
So we'll post that in the chat real quick for you
And while
guys.
you're doing that, let me just point out something, Dr. Juice.
Yes, sir.
You don't have to ask white people to educate you. We're educating your grassroots people now. You asked me to lecture. This is no different than me teaching overseas.
Yes, sir.
You're gonna have to leverage technology to educate yourself, Dr. Juice.
Yes, sir.
So however you speak your language to your people, uh, you know, and we create a little tuition for them.
Yes, sir.
That's what we
We
call tuition.
we posted it in the chat section, family. So at your
SB,
leisure time,
SB, SB, can he pull that up? Let me see if
D,
I can
see
pull
if
it
you
up.
can pull that link up real quick, D.
Let's see if I pull it up in the comments. Let's see what you got going on
Let's
here.
make sure we got it in the overlay for the family. There it is, family, right there.
It came up for you?
Excuse me. Let's see if the family can pull
Yeah.
that link up.
So there's your link of your data. And of course, there's much more. Yeah, I see it right here. All right, very good, awesome, 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 awesome. So, Dr. Juice, if you want to talk about group economics, you know, we can have group economics right here. There's a lot of things that we can do on your platform. You got to get feedback from your audience. But anyway, let me just keep going on the lecture that you asked me to do. So you have a population, and this data right here talks about. So right here it says, read that right there for me, Dr. Juice. Just start right here. I'm just highlighting. I just want you to read a little bit for me. Can you read that?
Okay. Let me get.
I
Hold on.
highlighted it for you.
Let's see if I can pull it up. It's a little because of the screen that I have it on.
Well, that's
Can
why
you can you do full screen, Professor?
that's why I have you read it, because if you can read it, your audience can read it. How about that?
Right. So let's see right there.
I
Okay.
won't blow it up. Read it for the class.
It's a little broke up, but let's see if we can get it.
Remember how I used to make you stand up and read in class?
Yeah. All right.
We do.
Largest universities. I can't really make it out, Professor, because of the. I shouldn't have selected the mobile screen. I think
You
we
see
got the
where I'm
mobile
highlighting?
screen. Yeah, it's a little. It's a little choppy. Let me put my lookers on.
That's all right.
Let's
Because we
see.
got other. See, one of the things we're doing. I mean, if you can't read it, then I wonder about the
I
other
can
people.
see some of it like white Hispanic, fit 7.52 households in Lake Wells, but
No,
it's kind
come
of
right here
cut
where I
off.
highlight it. Where I highlight it. Where I'll read it, but I want you to see it.
Yes,
And
sir.
I simply wanted you to see that the population of Lake Wells grew from 16,173 to 16,455 people.
Uh-huh.
That's your total population. And I always find that amazing when I go to our Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Our Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta holds 64,000 people. So we could put everybody in Lake Wells in Section B and it won't fill it up.
Gotcha. Wow.
But you wanted me to talk about data sources. So this is a data source by Data USA, whoever they are. And Data USA publish data. Vox Computer System, we publish data that
But
we
the
that
thing about it, Professor, how fast you looked up the data, and just give us an idea of how fast you were able to research and acquire this data, and give us what I think the big argument is about this very vague data that's been floating around in Lake Wells on social media. What is the median, or should I say, the lowest mean of income the average Lake Wellian is making per household?
so right here, if you look at this again, this is Lake Wells, this Data USA. So right here, they're saying that the median household income here is 55,000. But how does that but how does that break down in terms if you have if you have a 20% poverty rate, all right?
Mm-hmm.
That's a very high poverty rate uh, because it's saying 20% of your population. So if your population is is 16,000, what's 20% of that? It's roughly almost 20%, right? If look, watch this now. Watch this
Say
now.
20% of 60,000, you said?
We're just talking data. We're analyzing data. Check it out. So right here they say the poverty rate is 20%, right?
Right, 20.3.
Your population, your population is according to this is 16%, right? I mean, 16,000 is up 16,500, 16,455, right? Now watch this. Poverty rate is 20%. So if the poverty rate is 20%, Black, African American, non-Hispanic, they represent 19% of your population.
Mm.
Look at that. What do you think about that? I'll ask you, what's your analysis?
That's interesting. That's so you saying
Yeah,
I'm just
it's
saying,
it's looking like 10.8%.
chime in on that, D.
I'm looking at it. It's
no, understand what I'm saying. I'm gonna just do this one more time. I want you to think about this. I'm gonna go to the top, and this is old data.
Old data, 2020. So, Professor, let me ask you a quick question before you finish elaborating on this. You telling me that why don't we have our own data that is updated for our community?
Because your people won't do business with Vox Computer System, but we'll talk about that. I just want to show D this one more time while you
Why we gotta go with 2022 data? You mean to tell me there's no updated 2024 data? And
no
who
this
are we waiting on to give
this
us that data?
this is about the best. That's why you asked me to give you example. I found that this portal, the U.S. data, is about as accurate as you're gonna get, and it's outdated. I would love to have a contract to do that, right? We're a Black company, but we'll get to that. But I just want to show you. I want to see do you see a correlation in what I want to show you one more time. Check this out, D. According to this data, according to this data,
Hey, Professor, do us a favor. Blow your screen up to like 125%. There you go. Yes,
how about that?
sir. Yes,
Look,
sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, so here this data is saying in 2022. I would love to know what we're going into 2025. I think it's 30% at this point. Maybe that's how you made the list. But anyway, in 2022, your poverty rate was 20.3%. All right. It said it had a 20.2% year increase. That's even rough. Now, you go down and you look at your population, bro. Your population right here, it says that Lake Wales grew from 16,173 people to 16,455. And I will say it again. It fascinates me to know that the Mercedes-Benz Stadium where the Falcons, did they win or lose today, D? I've been busy.
They lost, man.
Oh, man. Come on, brother. Dang. But anyway, our stadium holds 64,000 people, Dr. Juice.
Hmm.
The entire city of Lake Wales don't even fill up our Section B, bro.
Wow.
If you want to look at data. So we got 16,000. That's half our Section B.
And that's white folks and black folk.
Yeah, that's no, look, it said population now. It says we're reading. It says something I'm making up. In 2022, Lake Wales, Florida had a population of 16.5K people. And the median age is 43 years old with a median household income. But that don't see. Here's the thing. Now watch this.
Mm-mm.
Here's another question for you. If when they talk about $55,000 median income, that's not you. You know why it's not you, Dr. Juice?
Mm.
Let me explain it to you. You got 16,000 people here, according to this, 20% poverty rate in your community, okay? And in the population, your population is represented by only 19.6%. Might as well say 20%. So is there a correlation between the poverty rate and the percentage of black folks in Lake Wales? So what it's saying is you represent the poverty rate, bro.
Man.
Somebody just took that data and made a viral video out of it. And now everybody seems to be upset, according to you.
So let me ask you a question. Why do you think people are so have their panties in a bunch? Why are they so butthurt about the poverty numbers of Lake Wales? And what can they do to address those concerns?
Well, that's a mouthful. I try not to get too deep into that, but it's going to think about it. And I've said this 100 times. And this is what my research is about. You have 5 decades. You have 5 decades when you took away your own educational institution. I've talked about it's the same old story. If you want to hear me say it again, you disregarded your own education. You never ever when they close your black institution. And I've watched this. I have data. You know I have data. But I've observed since 2016 every Martin Luther King celebration in Lake Wales, Florida, and they never celebrated your ancestors ever. I've seen opportunities, I have data, where you've had several hundred people on Lincoln Avenue, and nobody bothered to think about how to collect that and how to monetize that. So what it says to me is that you don't have any educated leadership in your community. I'm not bashing nobody, but I'm just saying that when your educational institution went away, the value of education went down and the poverty rate went up. So what happened is that during that time, in the late 60s and the 70s, you had the Jesus movement. Look this up. You can Google. I'll let you Google that, D, and put it in the chat. The Jesus movie started at the same time that this experiment called integration was taking place. So no skills were being built. Black men were already obsolete. The ones that didn't make it to corporate, they were already obsolete. So there was no education around technology. So the only thing, if you didn't go into the military or work law enforcement, the other option that a black man did was start a church, because you didn't have any relevant skill sets. They brought us there to pick oranges, bro.
Wow.
You know?
Man,
They
you
brought
dropping
the
you
math
dropping some you dropping some facts now, Rob. Professor, I'm just
So
I
when
can't
you
even
say,
argue with you.
so think about this. The worst thing that I ever hear come out of Lake Wells is, it happened every time that there was a so-called crash. I think the craziest thing that you can say when there's a demand for critical thinking is to say, "Oh, pray until something happens." That's another reason why your poverty rate is so high. You know why? Because that means you don't know what to do. So if you've been sitting around praying that something happens, and your poverty rate it continues to go up, where are you learning skills to survive? And what's my favorite question, D? I'll let D answer that. What's my favorite question, brother D?
D?
I had to turn my mic back on. Where's the money?
Where you gonna make money? How are you gonna make money? How are you going to make money? How? How? We don't have a thirst for education. So, all of those indicators, all of those factors have everything to do with poverty rate. 20% poverty, 20% black folks. Got to be a parallel there. And then here's the other
Gotta
thing.
be.
You take, what is that? You got what, 10 churches on one, in less than I remember I counted one time. I remember I did this with somebody that I brought to Lake Wells, and we rode around less than a half a mile. I think we counted like 15 black churches. So where's the education in terms of the skill set? And these people, they're not thinking about you, bro. It's in the data. They're making decisions based on this data. That's why you're not getting any resources. You're not, I mean, you wanted me to be brutally honest. You wanted me to tell you from a data perspective why now people are creating their own content and telling your story. And you say, well, why are people getting butthurt, Professor? They're getting butthurt because people were able to take your story and put it in a Facebook reel. Put your story in a Facebook reel about you being in poverty, about you being the top 10 cities in Florida, poorest city in Florida. They made a reel out of it, and now you're upset because now you've seen your story from a different perspective. See, this data right here, black people don't like to read, so you got to read this kind of stuff right here. You got to pull up the website, just like we're reading right here. You know what they say about black people. If you want to keep something from them, put it in writing. But since we like to watch TV a lot, when they put that data in the reel, that hit different. That hit a little different. I think D sent me something here. Let's see. Oh, thank you, D. Can you put that in the? I could. Okay, I'll pull it up. I got you. Let me pull that up. D sent that. So. Let's read that. Can you see that? I saw that. I saw that on my. You sent it to me in Wiki, so just give me a minute. Put Wiki. K-I-P-E-D-I-A. So here we go. Let's read about that. Just like I said. I feel your pain, bro. All right, Dr. Juice.
Yes, sir.
So you always like for me to give you data points. Here's some data points. You know, law enforcement has really forced us to do timelines. We don't talk about time when things happen. So since I have 12 years on you, let me give you a little timeline, right? So you got civil rights in 1964, or at least that's what they signed, President Johnson. I was 4 years old. I was just going into kindergarten, okay? So in Florida, they fought integration. It took them a long time. When I say a long time, it took Florida from 1964 to 1970 to integrate. They didn't want to be around you. You were begging. You left Roosevelt. You thought them people had better water. They didn't want you.
Mm.
But when they finally did it, look what year they did it in, Dr. Juice. Right here, it says the Jesus movement. The Jesus movement was a Christian movement that began on the West Coast of the United States. It started in California in the late 60s and the early 70s and primarily spread throughout North America, Europe, Central America, all these places. They call them Jesus freaks. They call them Jesus freaks. It was the Jesus movement. So,
Blow that up. Blow that up, Professor.
how about
Hey.
that?
All right.
And you can put that here. I'll put it in your chat for you, you can put it into your. So here's what happened. And you can Google. This is on the internet. You don't have to go to the library. Pull it up. This ain't some Professor Boss pulling out the sky. It breaks this down. So what I'm saying to you is that think about this, Dr. Juice.
Mm-hmm.
Roosevelt closed down in 1970. The black school in Lake Wells closed down in 1970, bro. And I remember during that time, in that curriculum, you had what we call industrial arts. The young people probably don't have a clue about that. But in industrial arts, you learn small engine mechanic. That's why I know how to fix my engine on my splitter when it goes out. Matter of fact, D, we got to get another engine. You learn automotive mechanics. You learn welding. You learn carpentry. All of these were skills that you learn in industrial arts. At Roosevelt, I had industrial arts. Now, all of that went away. All of that went away when you integrated. You didn't, and at the same time, you wasn't picking oranges.
Mm-hmm.
So my question is, the black folks, they found this as an economic opportunity. Well, I'm gonna go start me a church, and I'm gonna call myself bishop, prophet, whatever. Hell, the people don't know the difference. And that was an economical pathway because again, the Hispanics was coming in picking oranges. In fact, when the black man said, "Hey, look, Jim Crow is over with now. I want equal pay," they said, "The hell with you. We gonna bring Hispanics in here." That's why right now you got 4 different groups of Hispanics. So the only thing that you knew to do or thought you knew to do was to start a church, and it came out of the Jesus movement. And it was popularized by Dwayne Peterson. That's where it started. And it talks about the growth. It says secular and Christian media exposure in 1971 and 1972. Call, read this. You still with me, Dr. Juice? You reading this? In 1971 and 72, the media exposure, you talk about black media, you talk about media. So the media exposure in 1971 and 1972 caused the Jesus movement to explode across the United States.
So tie that in, Professor. How does the Jesus movement correlate with the economic position and the economic atmosphere in 2024? Of you said the Jesus movement of the 70s.
Right. So now, how many years from 70? I was in 1971, I was 11 years old. In 1972, I was 12, bro. I
Hmm.
was there. My parents, listen, my parents went to 2 black churches, and during that Jesus movement, even my parents wanted to integrate.
But
That's
Professor,
what.
let me say this. That, that is some very upsetting information that you are expounding on. I mean, don't you? I mean, how can our people grasp that and then still psychologically stay structured?
Well, people get mad when I say this, which I don't care, but I'm black and I know black people. And if black people can't eat it, drive it, or wear it, I'm sorry to tell you that, you. They're not. They're not in. They're not in. I'm
Wow.
probably being criticized. Man, nobody want to talk about all that stuff.
This sound, man. This is some tough love, man.
But you asked me.
I've heard
You
of
asked
tough love, but damn, bro, this is it. Don't get it's this is tough as leather right here.
Look, it says the Jesus movement in 1970. The Jesus movement exploded. It doesn't say it moved. It says the Jesus movement. Just this sentence: the Jesus movement exploded across the United States. So here's a research question for you then, and we already know the answer. What impact did that have to black people when you said today? That's why you hear people on social media today talking about praying until something happens. That's where that comes from.
PTSH. I mean to say, it almost sounds like PTSD, where you
Well,
struggle from a
I mean,
uh, psychological disability that it literally affects the way that you navigate in life.
Hey,
you
hey,
know,
hey, Juice. Have you seen Fight Night, which just recently came out?
No, I haven't. Sorry.
It's Kevin Hart. He starred in Samuel L. Jackson. Um, what, let's see, what's his on? It's on. What's that? What's that? It's one of these pay channels is on.
Netflix.
It's not Netflix. The other one.
I don't watch too much TV, bro.
Yeah. Because
Bro,
see,
forgive
if
me.
you see the movie's taking like 70, 60 old Atlanta, and what Professor Voss is talking about with the church, th- those people, like Kevin Hart, he played as Chicken Man, and all the thing he went through hustling. At the end of the movie, he became a preacher.
Wow, I gotta go look that up.
Yeah.
yeah, it was at the Bronzeville Film Festival. We invited you. It was one of the featured films that our client, Miss Kathleen, had featured in the Bronzeville Film Festival.
Yeah. Okay. It's on Peacock. It's on Peacock.
Yes,
Peacock. Okay.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
Peacock.
Samuel L. Jackson. This is really. I want to watch some of the series. I got to break down and pay the subscription. But if you want to understand the Jesus movement and the impact that it had on the black community, it started in the 70s. Because think about it, your businesses were declining. If you look at Lincoln Avenue, Lincoln Avenue was also in decline. Why was it in decline? Because now you didn't have to stay across the railroad tracks. You didn't have to stay in the, they called your neighborhood the quarters, the slave quarter. They took the slave off, but they still call it the quarters. Oh, you live down in the quarters. So when you beg them people to let them, you want to drink their water, you want to go to their schools, you abandon your community. You didn't think your community was good enough.
And don't forget what Hollywood did too. During the 70s, they brought in Sexy Brown, Foxy Brown, the Mac. That's when the men started slicking their hair back. They lost the afros. Uh, they started talking that, yeah, baby, I'm the Mac. They
Jive
start
talk.
jive talk. And the biggest thing in the 70s is somebody called you a jive turkey. That was the ground to fight. I know y'all forgot about that. Man, you a jive.
Jive turkey sucker.
Yeah, you're ready to fight. So, so,
Hey.
so what I'm saying is that there
Hey,
was
you got some
no,
cats still talk like that. That jive turkey shit.
they stuck in the 70s. But there were no, here's what, to answer your question, Dr. Juice,
Hilarious.
there were no organization after you shut down, after they shut down Roosevelt, abandoned Roosevelt, not shut it down, you didn't even fight for it. Then you let your open enemy educate you. Then you abandon those ancestors, you never celebrated them. Then you never created institution for you to educate yourself, right? You got caught up into the Jesus movement. Oh, I'm gonna just sit here and pray until something happens, right? And you didn't educate yourself. So now you can you as you would say butthurt because data is being published on the reality of your economic conditions. 20% of your population is black, and your poverty rate is 20%. And the Hispanics, they've broken up into 4 different groups that totals up to 29%. So they got you beat by 10%. So of course they're gonna get resources. You haven't seen the worst of it, bro. So you say, "Oh, professor, what can we do?" Man, there's no way around educating yourself. There's no way around. I mean, look how fast we pulled this data up. Look how fast we. I remember growing up, you had to go to the library.
Absolutely.
Hope that the book.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And Professor, that's what, man, we are so in gratitude to you right now. We are so gracious that you showed us and you demonstrated how fast and easy it is to pull up this data and how fast and easy it is for us to take the narrative and control the narrative when it comes to the economics in our community, and that we can serve the purpose with data to analyze what situations we are dealing with in our community, and we can control the data, we can organize the data. And it's good that you showed us how fast it is. You can demonstrate and get the numbers to show what we are up against in our communities. And I mean, that's part of the solution, that's part of the battle. Remember they had that saying, knowing is half the battle. So getting the knowledge from the knowing and the knowing of the data and analyzing it, because how we can't it's impossible for us to create any solutions if we don't even know what type of problems we are dealing with. And the data can show us that. The data can prove that's the receipts that we need so we can directly address what's going on in our community. We can get real time data and real time solutions. And we just gotta thank you for that again, Professor, because that's what you're bringing to Urban Matters Black Media Group. You're showing us how to demonstrate that, and we're gonna. This is probably gonna be a multi-part series that we're gonna start showing our community that we care, we are concerned, and we're going to demonstrate a new awakening, a new approach to figuring out our solutions for ourselves because we have a unique problem that's going on in our communities. And the only people that can address those problems are the people that's living that everyday life. And I just want to salute you again, Professor. And like I say, this is going to be a multi-part series, family. I just got back in town, but the professor, man, we got together. I said, Professor, we got to get, man, we got a lot of data already that we've digitally, we have digital records of it. We've had recordings, broadcasts where we've went over this data beforehand, and we just got to go back into our archives and pull up the receipts to where we've had these discussions. We've had the digital footprint. See, it's a digital footprint. What we're doing right now, family, we may not see you and I right now in real time, we may not see the real ramifications of what's going on here at Urban Matters Black Media Group. But this is a data network. This is a black media network. And this is where we make connections and we're doing the work right now, and we don't see it, but our future generations they're gonna be like, oh man, them guys were a legend. They was doing data before data was even popular. They set the trends. you know they were the influencers in 2024. Urban Matters Black Media Group. But because they didn't get co-signed from the dominant society, or they didn't get co-signed from the legacy media or the colonizer media, we didn't get our flowers, Professor. And they probably give us our flowers like Martin Luther King and like Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ wasn't a legend until he died. The whole time they were trying to take his head off. Am I right, Professor? That's the way the
Absolutely.
story goes, right, D?
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. So they changed names. Well, one thing people got to realize once they start changing name, they left something in the book, but they thought people ain't gonna see it. And that's Jeremiah chapter 8, verse 8. And see, people got to take time and read that.
Mm-hmm.
They'll tell you the pen. So
Mm.
I've been looking at Adam Daniel Williams. He came before King. They almost that's just about erased his history. He wasn't. He was a reverend
Mm.
at, at the church. So
Break it down, D. Break it down real quick for us.
yeah, they erased this man's history. He was one of those pastors that didn't take. He's one of those pastors that didn't take any crap from him. So they wanted somebody uh, to come in to be less strong, and they brought King in.
Somebody mundane minded,
You're right. Don't,
secular.
don't shake the boat. Let's be peace. But your people failing. So that's the same thing. We have to watch out for those same type of people like that. We shaking the boat. We shaking the bars. Get them off. We got to have people real soft. We got to have beta men to come in. They don't want
Al-
strong. They don't want strong men.
mm,
Men that caring. Men can take care of stuff. Men understand families. They don't want that.
mm-hmm. They don't want it.
They don't want it.
Absolutely. They don't want it.
Right. So we back like we just coming out of high school. How are you going to make money? What what you going to do to make money?
How you gonna man up? How you gonna represent your manhood? How you gonna claim your manhood? Fellas, we
Even
want to be the man, so let's be the man.
even the we asked the ladies, the women also. How you going to aid in helping your man, aid helping your family? Because you part of this too. How you going to make money? The legal way, not on your back. How you going to make money? My grandmother, she used to clean houses. She cleaned houses for white people. She went out and helped her husband. My great my great grandmother, um, her husband worked. She 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 tilled the field. She went out there and plant. But people don't want to look at that. They want to go to corporate. They want to trust corporations. Corporation telling you, I need somebody to think outside the box. All y'all mind the same. Your mind is white, just like they mind now. So we are the creators. It's one thing about this Jesus movement. It taught us not to be creators no more. Just sit and wait for Christ. Son, don't worry about it. God gonna take care of you. Who who is that God gonna take care of you? For the one I read about, he said, "You see that tree? You can get up and go get it yourself. I put it here. So who's gonna take care of you?" And now you look at our sisters. Uh, they are mad because men not taking care of them. And it's supposed to be a family thing. We help each other, right, Juice?
He probably dipped on it for a minute. Can you hear me, D?
Yeah,
I'm looking at yeah, he probably stepped away, but you're exactly right. Uh, you know, there's no critical thinking being done anymore, and that's a real problem in the black community. There's no conversation about critical thinking. Uh, there's no conversation about how to solve problems. You know, and that's a problem in itself. So you're exactly right to sit there and say, "Hey, pray until something happens." Where's the critical thinking in that? How do you solve your economic challenges by just praying and waiting till something happens? How does that work? That's got to be the craziest shit I've ever heard in my life. So you want to ask me about your poverty rate? That's a big part of it. People don't know what to do. People don't know. They don't know how to think for themselves. You know, they don't know how to they don't know how to create solutions for themselves.
Right.
You know, and until you learn how to create solutions for yourself, until you become better educated and create some new skills. See, that's the other thing, Dr. Jude. with black people, what they're up against, they about to find out, bro. You got to have new skills today. You're obsolete.
Yes, sir, Professor.
You're obsolete, especially black men. You're obsolete. You're obsolete. Why you think Grady Judge he catches all every time? Man, I sit there and watch Grady Judge. Man, he catching like hundreds at one time. All these he's just one after another. Grady Judge putting them in jail. That man, that sheriff got a job to do. So then,
And they around here thinking somebody snitching on them, Professor, and they snitching on themselves. Huh?
man, they do them. They let me tell you something. Those boys, they're beyond snitching on themselves. They're beyond snitching on themselves. And they really don't understand technology to be out there doing what they're doing. And they're going so if you don't have any like relevant business skills, I mean legitimate, I'm gonna make money legitimate business skills. And think about this. The low industry jobs, they're not hiring black men to do those jobs. These other people that your friend Miss Commandment and all them were letting cross the borders, they're doing low industry jobs. That's why I would imagine Trump trying to run them out. But those jobs are not for you. So what are you learning? And I'm talking about the black men, the black boys. What are you learning that's sustainable, that's profitable, that's legal, by the way? What are you doing, bro? Well, these people that you deal with, Dr. Juice, you have to ask them, what is your skill set? Can you articulate your value? Can you articulate your value in this modern global economy that we have? What is your value? What is your economic value? What is your educational background? What skills do you have that's relevant? Because the things that you did a couple years ago, obsolete. Obsolete.
Yes, sir.
So, you know, I'm more than happy if any of your audience, what I would like for them to do, and I would like for you to appeal to them, if they're interested in really understanding data that's going to help them make better decisions, and they're looking at even if you're trying to create a business, bro, you need data to help you come up with your business plan, your projections, all that. We can help you with that. So I
Yes,
would
sir.
like to know if any of your folks, and you can ask them to just put in your comments, drop in your comments. Hey, if you're interested in, us developing a course that's going to help you better understand data and how to use data to make business decisions, we'll roll that out. But we gotta collect data from your audience, Dr. Juice.
We gotta
Ask,
collect.
ask
Gotta
them
collect.
ask them to respond to your comments, Dr. Juice. Ask them.
Yes. Family, please, just right now, any questions or concerns that you have when it comes to business and this making these types of decisions, critical decisions within your business, family, don't hesitate. We don't know this stuff. We are new to this stuff, and I get it. I've been a business owner for about 13 years now. And when I first came into business, I had so many questions. And one thing about me, I'm a I'm an extrovert and I'm also an introvert by choice. I ain't gonna be messed up with you unless you own some business, critical thinking. And I didn't want to be around people if they didn't think like me. But then the more and more that I start navigating into this business world and networking with others that look like me, I started realizing that, our folks were just excluded out of the whole thing. We don't get it. And it's not that we don't get it because we can't get it. We just get it because we never were introduced, or we didn't see this type of you know, attitude being demonstrated in our communities. We did have it at one time in the 60s and 70s, but I think in your great wisdom, Professor, you like to make a comment. We traded integration, we traded ownership for integration. And so during that integration period, we started kind of getting
Don't forget about Jesus.
right. Can't forget about that. Correct, correct,
Don't forget
correct,
about
correct,
Jesus.
correct, correct.
Well,
Absolutely, absolutely.
well, Juice. You can't forget we had resources. So now
Yeah,
you live in the city. You don't have
yeah,
resources.
yeah,
So now you forgot
yeah.
that your work value is your trade. You trading yourself for work. What's your trade? You trading yourself. And now they're not thinking like that. They're just thinking, going, I'll just go to work. But you do more than just going to work. You trading your knowledge.
Yeah.
You giving your knowledge away for free.
That's it. Your knowledge, skills, and
But think
your
about this.
labor.
Think about this for a minute, right? Dr. Juice, you talk about generational wealth all the time and legacy and all this, right? Now, here's a question. I'll bring it home to you. You worked for UPS for a good while, right, Dr. Juice?
Yes, sir. 20
So when
years.
you when you leave UPS or when you left UPS, could you leave anything outside of your retirement, of course? But can you leave any? What can you leave from UPS for your legacy?
What can I leave?
Yeah, I mean, think about it. In my business, I have a
Nothing.
business. I leave my
I didn't.
business.
I didn't own it. I didn't. I can't leave anything. I couldn't. All I can leave is the story that I worked for that company for 20 years. I don't. I can't give that. I can't pass that down as a legacy to my next generation.
Well, here's what's confused me. Then I see black people all the time so proud to make their white daddy proud, and look at me, I got a promotion. Look what my white daddy gave me. But when you telling me, and I'm talking about people that got families, people that got children, and you're making me understand that I can't. These people, if I was working on this job, and look at me, white daddy, aren't you proud of me, and all this kind of stuff, and I can't leave nothing for my kids. That help me make that make sense.
No sense at all. No sense at all.
And
Absolutely no sense.
and Juice, most of these people who's CEOs got to CEO level, they never hired anybody. They just work. They just go to work and not just trade among the companies. But they never hired anybody. So you have C and D students making careers for for what they doing and hiring people. They out hiring people. Brick
Absolutely.
Mason, they hire people.
Absolutely.
Painters, they
Absolutely.
hire people.
Bro Mark, welcome, boy. I see you got up in here. You got up in here. There
Yeah,
go
I
bro
made it.
Mark, bro D, Professor.
I see them over there.
How you
How's the
gentlemen
highway?
doing?
Yes, sir.
I've been listening. I've been listening.
We just seen you was in the building. I had to dang. I was like, dang, that look like bro Mark.
Hey,
So,
bro,
Yeah.
Mark, we trying to be that tradesman. Got to be that tradesman.
so I love to
Yes,
hear this.
sir.
What's your What's your feedback, brother Mark? What do you have to say?
Well, I say, I hate to make it sound like we beat up on them a lot, but um, I think a lot of this is promoted by, unfortunately, our women in that the whole church aspect, you know, men commune directly with God. Women commune, they got to talk it out and talk to their man, and then children talk to their parents. And since the man is gone, the women tend to rush out to the preacher and bring the children along with her, and then that gives her the motivational speech that she needs to hear to energize her. to go through the week and be a super slave for massa. And then
Hmm. She's been
she
incentivized.
project, yes. And then she go and get this awesome job for massa and don't have any energy for home or to build for herself because she done
Wow.
gave it all to massa.
Can I ask a question,
So
Doctor? Can I ask a question, Brother Mark?
go ahead, brother.
I'm not a Bible thumper, but I had to go to a lot of vacation Bible school. And in vacation Bible school, was it the devil? Did the devil go to the woman or did he go to the man?
To the woman.
All right. I
And
rest my
like
case.
you said, so eloquently, about a month or so ago, you know, they, you know, you don't see men on the corner selling themselves and then getting all the money and running it back to a woman. But you see it all the time the other way around because, as much as our ladies don't want to agree to it, their minds can be manipulated quite easily and it's done at all levels. And if we don't, you know, I'm I know the Bible has a lot of wonderful stuff in it, but the way the church and that Jesus movement you talked about, they utilize they utilize that very strong religious or spiritual structure that we've had for thousands of years against us. If you think about something as simple as westerns, because westerns is a communication, it's a brainwashing tactic. But if you think about those westerns, you remember how the cowboys or the settlers they would be learning the stuff that we believed in, like the smoke signals. Oh, they sending smoke signals to the smoke god. So because they're afraid of this, so then they would use our very thing that we believed in so strongly spiritually against us and conquer us with it. And they're doing the same thing today. And so
Mm.
once we begin to look at Westerns and realize that we are the Indians, then we'll begin to understand a little more. But that Bible has a lot of extra stuff, and that's where the churches direct you to. Like you spoke about, the church tell you to sit back, be patient, wait on God. Well, the books say you have to put in the work. Faith without works is dead.
Yeah.
God did nothing for nobody in that book without them putting in some work. And if you know of somebody in that book that got something without putting in work, let me know.
I have another
Cause
question, Jim.
yes, sir.
I have a question, Jim. So then, what causes the mindset in terms of our what I would call academic work ethic, which it really don't exist? But why is it that we always want a shortcut? We want the hookup. We don't want to put the time in. We're trying to scan. Where does that come from?
Shortcut, hookup. What you mean? What? How fast we want stuff to be?
Black folk, white folk. We don't
What?
want to. We don't want to. We don't. There's no. What I'm trying to say to your point is that learning learning requires energy. It requires you have to be intentional. Like right now, we could be sitting around talking about the Falcons lost and all of this stuff, and I guess who else lost. But every time that we come together, we're having a public conversation about things that we feel that are extremely critical and relevant to the betterment of our community. We know that a lot of people in our environment listens to us, right? So we have what I call a high level of thinking, a high level of vibration. And all I'm saying is, how do you inspire those who don't want to put in the time, those who want to hook up, those who want to take a shortcut, those who only care about if they can't eat it, drive it, or wear it, they're not interested in it. How do you motivate those?
Well, well, personally, I think, there's a reason why, you know, they always talk about, oh, we was kings and queens. Well, it was only a small percentage that was kings and queens. The rest were street sweepers, nurses and teachers and everything else. We all weren't kings and queens, but but now that mentality makes everybody think they deserve what to be given what a king or queen earned. So this whole microwave society has us with that mentality. And it also, this whole racial divide have us with that mentality because we feel like we ain't got enough time. Well, you got the same amount of time as Donald Trump. You got the same amount of time as anybody else on this earth.
And
You
excuse
may,
me
you
for,
may, yes, sir.
don't forget this. When I was working in corporate, the the so-called bosses was telling the sisters, the women, black women that was on this company, uh, you cannot date your employee or employers, um, but they was dating them. So the sisters, they
Mm.
didn't date the men that were making money. They're all us on the same level. We have our education, but they listen to the white man telling them do not date us. And so they they was dating dealers. They dated low and then started complaining about it. They put their own uh, they listened to the wrong men.
Wow.
I had to bring that up because people don't talk about that, but that did happen.
Well, and I like with Brother Mark, he was saying he's not bashing women. Here's the thing, right? And this is just a fact. Dr. Juice, you talk about policy a lot. Here's a policy. If a black woman can't feed her children, the government send her a check. If a black man can't feed his children, they put him in jail.
Wow.
So,
Real simple.
so as men, number one, we're not government sponsored by no means. In fact, we're considered to be government enemies.
Wow.
Enemies of
So,
the state.
right, we're enemies of the state. So again, all of this is tied into how this whole conversation started out in trying to understand why is the data saying that our poverty rate in Lake Wales, but Lake Wales is a reflection of so many communities from one end of the other. We do, think about it. DNI, we law enforcement in Alabama. I mean, it's Alabama. We don't even start us talking about there's so many places just like Lake Wales, Alabama, Wilcox County, Lawrence County, Opelika. Look, they just had a shooting when we was in Tuskegee. So don't think that Lake Wales is the only one. But since you as a group are interested in looking to approaches to try to solve some of these challenges and some of these problems in your community. And Dr. Juice, you ask me all the time, how do we make money? Here's how you make money. You identify problems and challenges in your community and you solve those problems. How do you identify those problems? You identify those problems with data analytics. That's why we're on this call now. Because the data said, and this is old data, mind you, in 2020, 2022, it said that you are 20% in poverty. and you represent 20% of the population. That's all you. So, you know, you need to continue to have these conversations. You need to engage your audience more. They also need to understand that, you know, we got to get in the habit also of financing ourselves. You know, I know Dr. Juice had a QR code out there. We got to get, you know, because they go give Reverend Pastor Polk chop. You know, you give them all your money. I see people jumping around hollering at Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. You know, they're doing money. So why can't the people in your community, Dr. Juice, why can't you pass the digital plate so that you can right there you go. You know, how many of your people, you know, how many of your people contribute to the platform, bro? And we're not, I mean, look at the information that we put on this platform. It's been educational. But they'll go give Pastor Ham Hock, you know, and Prophet is Pretty and Deacon Bacon. You gotta have well, now you talking about my pastor now. Oh, now, Professor, you done draw the line. You can go too far. Talking about my pastor.
What has he done for you lately?
What has he
Other
done
than
for you?
other than
Oh.
give you a motivational speech. That's about it. And you get your motivational message, and then you go out and do the exact same thing you did the week before.
Right.
And what's sad is the motivational message is is cyclical because you keep hearing the same things over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. You listen to the same stuff in 2010 that you or same stuff in 2024 that you heard in 2010. So something is wrong with that. And unless we really want to take a look and say, hey, when are we gonna dig any deeper? Because the most high is a vast supreme being, but yet we keep hearing these same messages and these
But,
same catchphrases.
but Brother Mark, one thing, they were trained by your enemies. And that's what people don't understand. They were trained by your enemies. Because one of the laws, well, one of the sayings that the Father said, I will put my laws in your head, not in your heart. They changed that to heart. I'm going to put my laws in your head. Your head is all knowledge. Your heart is your emotion.
Mm.
And see, that's one thing you got when you read, you got to understand the lies and the trickery. They look at religion part as making money. That's all that is. It's
That's
making
it.
money and take control. But if you start looking at the living water of it, you want to have those same thoughts what they've been teaching you. Because I tell you, I be telling professor, I said, if somebody talking to professor while we out here working, they talking to me too. And so that's a partner relationship. Is somebody talk to me, they're talking to professor. Professor, don't I, when I talk to someone, if they have some sense, they're talking about something, I go and say, Professor, we need to talk to him. That's when you have a partnership. Now, if you don't understand what a partnership is, because um, most of people, I hear them, they're talking about women. Women used to have that type of partnership with a man. If you're talking to my man, you're talking to me too. If somebody talk to her man, they talking to her. That's a partnership. So it's the same thing. If you in your work, you out there working, we speaking the same language. You talking to me, you talking to him.
Yep. And it's just important. It's a lot of little stuff that we didn't kind of push to the side that we shouldn't have. you know,
Right.
and we got to get back on track because, you know, like you guys were talking about the timeline in the 70s and so forth, you know, we've just been, we have been trained to be obsolete, you know, and just like most of, you know, everybody on this platform know, Dr. Claude Anderson, he spoke on that in the doggone early 90s, you know, because we've been trained to be obsolete and we're gonna, you know, and then when you do get people that's in a position to hire us don't hire us. That's another issue. We don't hire ourselves, people that look like us. We find problems with them because of this narrative that's being burned in everybody's head that we ain't no good, we lazy, we shiftless, we ain't gonna do this, we ain't gonna do that. So we don't hire people that look like us anymore when we in a position to hire them. Now, educationally, yes, we are, you know, we're suffering, but even when we not suffering, the problem is we're all running the service industries. The people that's excited about education, they're running to be a nurse. That's Big Mama on the plantation, y'all. They running to be a nurse, to be this, to be that. Everything is connected to service. And so, you know, all these service industry jobs, they like you say, they will be obsolete because they're gonna have a robot doing most of that stuff.
Well, one
And
thing.
so,
Oh, okay. I thought you were finished.
go ahead.
Oh, one thing about the science of it. Uh, what's the difference between the tick and the top? Tick tock, tick tock. What's the difference between the tick and tock? And when you study time and science, you find out there's no different. There's no different. So what tick know, tock gonna know. It's it's no different. So unless you change the time, there's the difference come in. So you have to fool the tick or the tock. And so if you don't understand that or have that clear understanding, and most of us don't have that understanding, they you know they're not looking at that. But when you go talk to people, it's no different between the tick and the tock unless you heard a lie. And that's what they introduce you to, lies. I hear Mexicans say the same thing about black men all the time. They don't want to work. Well, when you talk to interview Mexicans who's saying that, I say, well, have you been on our time level? Do you know what you're saying? And he'll start mumbling. I said, you saying that so you can gain money. You want to cut our hands off. And then you turn around and say you're a white Mexican. Because I was about to ask Professor while he was looking on that, it had they had white, Hispanic, and what's the other one? Other Hispanics. So who's the other Hispanics? Who's the
Wow.
white Hispanics? Yeah, I don't know. You noticed that, Juice, when he put that graph up. When he put that
Well,
graph up, it was on there. White Hispanics and other.
well, what happens too is that's part of white folks trying trying to keep their numbers up too, you know, into the populational numbers. You know, they did that with us back when you know, with your, you know, when they started killing us with the pen. They did that back then. You know, you had Indians, you had, you know, you had white Indians, and they separated us the same way. And they started what what is it when you octoroon and all that type stuff? That was just ways of them to separate us and then and color cast us. And they doing the same thing. They doing the same thing with the Hispanics because they get more and more of them in here. So then they got to start breaking them down. So and increasing their numbers with the very people they bringing over.
You know they
Cause the
fighting each
lighter,
other now.
huh?
You know the Hispanic is fighting each other now.
Mhm.
They are fighting each other now.
Yes, sir.
That's
Yes,
what this
sir.
system does. That's what this system does. The system creates that strife between races. So the ones up top can stay up top, and the ones down at the bottom can keep fighting. And
Absolutely.
So,
that's why we
so now,
gotta get
so now
past
they
that,
stuck
man.
in the Willie Lynch. They stuck in the Willie Lynch movement. See,
Absolutely.
we've been saying
I'm
this
telling
for
you,
years. We've been warning everybody for years.
Yes, sir.
yeah, and that
Absolutely.
Americanization is real. That is real. I
Oh yeah.
remember I remember being over in Texas, one mall you go to, man, only thing you saw was was I'll say Hispanic people. I don't know what they were, but I'm guessing they was Mexican. And boy, they was buying and
Latino.
buying and buying.
Oh, they got it.
There you go. And then so what
They,
happens is generationally, the first generation starts sending money back, sending money back, sending money back. But their kids, they're not gonna send money back, or they're not gonna send quite as much.
Much.
And then the following generation is 100% Americanized,
Right.
and they doing the same stuff, that going through the same stuff that quote unquote black folk going through. And so and we just got a system is not set up to power us. It's set, and only way you're gonna be empowered, you gotta be that 10% that's motivated and that are the kings, and let's get it done.
that's it.
Well, one thing we said it before. You got to understand this is your country. A lot of
Yes,
us don't
sir.
even see this country as our country because they so oppressed. I said, where else you gonna go? Where are you gonna go? The people out there trying to get here. You here already.
That's it.
If one for our fathers, this this world wouldn't be. The Jewish man wouldn't have nothing because he followed. He got off of our backs with the same thing with King. They used King like a dog. They
Yep.
used him.
Yes, sir.
And now the LBQ they use the same thing. They're supposed to be for the black man. They using it. But when we say something about it, y'all complaining. Y'all lazy. You got to work hard. Now it's falling back on the white man now. In Montgomery, Alabama, they sleeping outside. You got to work harder. They tell them that now. We've been telling white people for the longest the rent too high, the bills too high,
Yep.
food too high, ever since the 60s.
Yep. 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 But listen, hey fellas, we're gonna finish this up on the next episode. We're gonna be talking these data numbers. We gotta find out what's up with this poverty that is in the state of Florida, and what uh from the data can we analyze something to get us out of that category. They got us like ranked in the 35, I think somebody said out of 35 cities, Lake Wales still didn't show up in the top economic areas in Polk County and in Florida. So we're gonna have this discussion, man. We're gonna do a running series. I want to thank all you fellas for joining in today. Brother Mark, salute. Professor, salute. Brother D, salute. I'm your gracious host, Dr. Juice, signing off. And we're going to come back tomorrow, fellas. We're going to pull some more data up, and we're going to get some more current data. I'm going to challenge the professor in Voss Computers to come up with some more data for us, family. And we're gonna have this discussion, man. We're gonna get to the bottom of this. We can come up with some solutions. I'm serious, man. So, hey, y'all, thanks for joining in again. 10-4. Thank you again, family. You guys are so great. I thank you again for tuning in, man. I'm your gracious host, Dr. Juice, signing